Can you switch over? Yeah, it's working.
Sound.
No, I noticed you were using one out. That they took that out.
One speaker is not gonna work.
No, no, it's working. It's working. See me when you link to the speakers, I don't know.
You link them.
You were using only one channel.
No, I think someone changed it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what
yeah.
I have only one. Because I said, what I said to them. The person went there and came out from that side. You can see two lines there. I don't know. Do you have a jet? In case the media comes out. Do you have a jet? I just wanted to see Mara, do you have it's with me?
Two.
Okay, ma thank you. Ma thank you.
Maybe a bit of soft music.
No, that one is not black.
But it's 18. This one.
No, this one is 18. That one is not.
I just need it.
Yeah, when it's just 15.
Because I don't have. If you have a tattoo setup, I can use it.
No, it's fun. It's just leaves. Noticed. Because I was wondering where did you plug or where did you take over from that side? Because the box is open. Check next and no, we'll see.
I thought I had.
No, it's fine. Just leave them late and use the
In case I didn't say enough, good morning, everybody. Hi, Bo. I'm just saying good morning, everyone. That sounds like IPADA family. Friends, we are waiting for one or two of our very important, distinguished participants in this session. As soon as they are on board this particular aircraft, we shall definitely be ready for takeoff. If they didn't tell you when you left your room or your home, you looking smack on, very beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I'm just saying from where I stand, short as I am, all of you, you look beautiful. Particularly the gentlemen, they look beautiful. You may not be aware, I'm actually colorblind, so in case you're putting on beautiful, bright dresses, sorry, they look in blur from where I am. All right, guys, maybe let me take this opportunity to just orientate you a little bit. We are privileged to be here, and it's a wonderful experience, but one or two very critical areas and spaces in this building as you proceed out of this building past the registration point on your right will be the restroom for the ladies. Please, gentlemen, pay attention. We are going to be taking a couple of floors up past the main hotel reception area. That is where we shall be converging. So please don't get lost. It's daytime. Lights are all over. Please do the needful. Right. And good morning. And like I said, we should be starting the program right away as soon as the guests are here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Like that. Come on, Luca. Can I have your attention, please? And on your TV set, I did exactly that. I saw a banner, America undertaking. In peace. You and I, our calling is people. And that is why I had to mention this. Over 3,000 lives lost. So let it be. Distinguished friends, it's an order that I repeat or reiterate what I said as a way of orientating ourselves. Please make sure that we proceed in case we want to take a breather. The ladies are going to be using the restroom right on the right, beyond the registration point. For my friends and colleagues, the male creation, we are upstairs, past the reception area into the other side of the wing. That's where we are. It is at this point that I shall get into the program, and follow me through, please. We shall going to be having item number 1, opening and welcome by Professor M.P. Sabola to this, come and welcome us to this 9th edition of IPADA conference. Professor, sir.
I always start by saying first. Good morning, colleagues. Yes, my name is Mokoko Pete Sabola, and I thank you, Mr. Program Director, for giving me this opportunity to welcome the IPADA 2024 annual delegates. Basically, when someone is to welcome people, a person normally do not know what to say. And in the previous years that I've been welcoming you, I did not know what to say. So even today, I don't know what to say. Some people will say, you must just say, you are all welcomed, and then you sit down, and people start with their business. So unfortunately, I was born with too much words in me. I think if you can look at my body, you can see that there are too much weight in my body. From us Kukune, I think they have a tendency of saying, "Motho o na le dithaka ka ganong, dithaka," you know. You know what dithaka is? I don't know what is the good, what can be translated into English. Not tonsils. This one's from the watermelon. You know, when someone is chewing them, they make noise. So, but when someone speaks too much, they say, yes. So that's basically one of that trait that I am born with. Okay, but I'll try to shorten my talk in welcoming you. Unfortunately, I do not only welcome, I also have to give a little bit of report, because we are delegated by yourself annually to run this program from September up to September the following year. And I'll still give another report again in the gala dinner. So colleagues, this year we received abstracts in excess. We reduced them to 227 or 230. There are still reports that with the number of titles that are on the program, we have still omitted other people that are here in the conference outside our country. We are thankful for that. And some Lokwani to stand up and Mrs. Dr. Bulilenyan. Where is Professor Mulukwani? Professor Mulukwani, you have really missed to be present, and the public of Botswana has always been represented in South Africa through your beautiful faces. And we thank you very much for that. Thank you. I know, and remember, I know universities from Africa, they always see South Africa as another America in Africa. And with all the scarce resources, but the Republic of Botswana, people have always been with us. And we really appreciate that, and we are very much thankful of you. And then in 2018, I think we're joined by these other guys from Blantyre. Can you stand up, Professor Diazera? Not Blantyre. I know the University of Malawi is stationed at Zumba, but you know, we remember in South Africa we don't know any other place in Malawi except Blantyre. So can you stand up with your team, Benson Munyenyembe? Is it Munyenyembe? Benson Munyenyembe, and then Alfonso, is he around or he forgot to wake up? Okay. Okay, Professor Professor Chasukwa and Professor Kayuni and Professor Hussein. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I know there are others that do not want to be introduced. I know there is Mercy from Zimbabwe. I know she wants us to introduce her with Fort Hare, and I know she's not from Fort Hare. Mercy, stand up from Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, it's nice, and then we do welcome you. Thank you. Thank you. And I know there is another one also from, is that Kandora Agricultural University? Gwiza. I know you want us to introduce him as from UJ, and he's not coming from UJ. Kandora, where is it? Marondera University, where is it? Oh, Zimbabwe also. Hey, thank you very much, guys, from Zim. Pass our regards to Mnangwangwa. Thank you. Thank you very much. We do welcome you to our annual IPADA Conference 2024. Okay, and then I'm also going to welcome from the Office of the Premier Limpopo, Mr. Sohoa, you'll forgive me. They told me, you are a Deputy Director General in the Office of the Premier Limpopo Province, and then you can stand up, and then we welcome you. Professor Walter Sohoa. So in case I, remember we are on record, in case I did not say it correctly, it's not a problem. We will correct it off record. Professor, Mr. Sohoa, I know he is very much, where I come from, he's known as, I know Professor Nganywa has a tendency of saying, Unyana Gatoto. Is it Unyana Gatoto? When you want to say the son of Tobik. Unyana Gatoto. Okay. So Mr. Sohoa is well known as the son of Elijah Sohoa. He does not have a name himself. He's the son of Elijah. And that's how you must address him here. Son of Elijah Sohoa. Yes. Yeah? Elijah from the Bible, yes. That's how we know him, most of us, and where we come from. But you can call him Mr. Walter Sohoa. Mr. Sohoa, I think there's the team that came with you from the Premier's office, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name. And then there's another one. Magwaza. That's Ndiwo. My eyes can make sure that we thank you very much, and we hope that you will also inform your university that we thank you very much. I don't know how to what extent can I humble myself. Nelson Mandela University. Nelson Mandela, can you stand up, please? This is the name of a great statesman. I think they are becoming a shoulder of IPADA, and then which means that very soon they can go. Nelson Mandela, we thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that's the way. Are the others? Do you have some people that often go to the beach during the event? But I know they are also the shoulder. So many universities are on the shoulder position of this organization, association. Thank you very much, UJ. We love you so much. Okay. Varsity College, Professor Shumba, we welcome you and thank you very much for honoring the invitation. Sfako Machato, I know it's only a Randa. I'm going to pronounce your surname well. Randa. Thank you very much for representing Sfako Machato. Management College of South Africa. Oh, Mankosa, I think I already said. The University of Mpumalanga. University of Mpumalanga, but I know there are three, but only one is showing up, which means one would have maybe gone to, okay. We welcome you. So we have sponsors for the 20 raw. This is mostly because when people make calls for conferences, scientific engagement, we talk about the government, but you don't invite them. They are not there. And then if they are not there, of course, we will lambast them. We will say the things that are not happening there. Because they are not here with us, they will not be able to tell us. But if they are here, it's better because if you say things are like this, they are likely to say, no. They are likely to refer you to new documents. Because remember, academics access new documents after a long time. In law, there are still people who are referring to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Act 108. And that thing has been repealed somewhere in 2000. We always argue with them in law that you said you are lawyers, but you are still writing Act 108, and this thing has been some years back. And I know even I've been editing conference proceedings. I know people are still writing Act 108 of 1996, and that thing has not been there from 2000. Information reached us very late. So sometimes it's better to have people from the procedure. They know that. So we take pride in that. So depending on the validity of knowledge we'll produce here, remember, we have 3 platforms of publications. The conference proceedings, we have the journal publication. I think we are lucky that in 2024, our Journal of Public Administration and Development Alternative is inducted by DHET under Directive of Open Access Journals. And depending on the editorial board's decision, we might consider some of the papers to the journal. I think for the South Africans, but for the Malawians, it's not a problem, as long as it's peer-reviewed. But Botswana, I know that they have now started the Scopus and the Web of Science issues, and they don't know how difficult it is to publish in the Web of Science and Scopus, except in IBSS, it's often easy, because some journals can sneak in there. So in South Africa, we also have our list. So for South Africans, I think our journals deserve a thumbs up. But the problem, like I said, the other one is the book project. And the book project depends on whose publisher have we contacted. But a catch about the book project and the journal is that there is another arrangement, because the conference fees covers lunch, gala dinner, tea breaks, and publication in the conference proceedings only. So if we have to go the journal and the book way, that's another arrangement, but that arrangement is entered into between the authors, depending on whether they are agreeing. If they are agreeing, then we'll select some papers for September and December issue for the conference. If there's an agreement with the authors, of course, and the editors. So, colleagues, on that note and on that score, thank you very much. You are welcome to the IPADA Annual Conference 2024. Thank you.
You can do better than that. Professor, that's where I render my services. It is at this point, and it is an honor that I call upon the Director, Postgraduate Studies from Walter Sisulu University, Professor T. The name is difficult for me. I was in PE for 9 years, but Professor Ngangwa, please come to the front, come to the podium and do us the honors. Thank you so much, Madam.
Good morning, colleagues. I am not worried about you not being able to pronounce my surname. Even my former dean executive dean from the University of Limpopo could not, Professor Tseula. He would say, Professor Tobeka. So he taught me that let me accept people when they call me about my first name, because my surname is very difficult. Because this thing of Nganywa, NCA, is so difficult. Don't worry. Good morning. Can you see one? Can you see? Okay, let me continue because I want to be short. As you can see that I am short. I am not as tall as the program director. Good morning, Professor Sibula. Colleagues. Okay, let me put it like this. Colleagues, let me just give you a brief history about myself and Professor Sibula, the chair of this conference. 5 years ago, in fact, I had to spend 5 years at the University of Limpopo under the leadership of Professor Sibula. He was my director of school, and he appointed me as an HOD there. So I worked under him a lot. So that's where I learned about the IPADA issue, a lot of things in research. That one, I was acting as a senior director for research. Then I said, Prof, there is some contradictions between the decisions that I have to make in my position and my position in the board. So can I be excused so that I don't have those challenges? So that was the main reason, but we are still working for IPADA. Thank you very much. Colleagues, IPADA is a scholarly multidisciplinary project. So when I was asked to make an address here, a welcome address, then I thought, what is IPADA? IPADA is a scholarly multidisciplinary project, and it takes that multidisciplinary approach, because when you get a call from IPADA, you can feel that you belong. There's always a space to belong. So you don't feel like, okay, I am in science and therefore I can't have a theme that suits me. So everybody is when the themes are designed, they are designed in a way that it's a multidisciplinary approach and everybody can fit in this scholarly project. And what we do in IPADA in all these years, we are producing, Prof, relevant research. Because, colleagues, we are producing research that is addressing societal problems or challenges. And we want to come with new ideas that can solve these societal problems, whatever discipline. So this project allows that. This project also allows an integrated approach. What is that? It means if you are an academic, you can't be an academic that is not research intense, because you are going to teach old things. And if you are an academic who is a researcher, it means what you are teaching is relevant and contributing to knowledge. So we must guard against ourselves when we are teaching, and we are teaching textbooks instead of introducing our textbooks to our classes and say, Google me, Google this. So the books, the papers, the journal articles that we are producing from this project are so important that they make us good academics. We can't be academics that teach our students what is in the textbook that was written in America, which is irrelevant to solve the problems that we have in our country. And when we go to those communities and collect data, we are also liable to those communities to bring solutions on the data that we have collected. Their work in sharing. Those that know how must share with those that do not know. I just want to brag, Prof, from Water Sisulu, since I'm the acting director of postgraduate units. Few weeks ago, we have got different conferences that at Water Sisulu we are attending, the postgraduate students. It's not IPADA only. So we have taken about all the students, Prof, that are going to attend various conferences around South Africa. And there's an article to that which made from our university for that. So what happened there is that we have taken the students, and even those that are here, the postgraduate, have been trained on how to write a paper and on how to present. And I am sure that the presentations will look different from the students that can come to a conference untrained. Because we are helping, we are giving our hand to those that are still emerging. So if you are an established researcher in your institution, how many people have you taken with your hand? Ask yourself that question. Do you want to shine alone? Do you want to earn these outputs alone? We can be this rich if we are having, Prof, that helping hand. So IPADA conference is giving us that opportunity. It's giving us that. I don't mind, Prof, if I'm not getting as much units, as long as there are so many people that have learned. Because when you are engaging in this helping hand, you are also being empowered yourself. I've learned from the people I am collaborating with. I learn new skills every day. This is a learning curve, Prof said so. And therefore, the IPADA is giving that. So, when I am concluding, we need in this conference to engage positively and bring hope to the people who come, because most of the people that are coming for the first time are so afraid here. They don't even hear what we are saying because they are afraid of their presentations. They don't know if it's good enough. So in these rooms where we are going, we need to give that hope. And colleagues, we need to tell them, your presentation was good. You did well. Let's do that so that they are here tomorrow. Let's contribute to knowledge production. Let's build our nation. The world is looking at us. Let's adhere to Agenda 2063, which says the Africa we want. Is the Africa that is here now the Africa we want? What changes can we do to ensure that our Africa is the Africa?
A round of applause for him.
As a talk, and the man that I'm going to introduce to you today is Mr. Khabo Masahela. Not Masarela, Masahela. There's a difference between Masahela and Masarela. Because once you say Masahela, I associate you to the Botswana area, and once you say Masarela, I look at you coming beyond the Olifants River. So there's that difference that we have to take care of. Mr. Masarela is a division manager in the Limpopo legislature, responsible for research, library, and records management. Before he joined the legislature, he was a research manager at the HSRC and lecturer at Vista University, which is now called the University, which was then, or it's now called University of Free State. He has his qualifications being master's degree from the Rhodes University, honors degree from University of Wits, and Bachelor of Arts degree from
Parliament work within. I'm personally humbled by this invitation because it's very rare for us to talk to academics. When we got this invitation, I just thought of this stage which I'm going to sit, because I first stood on this stage in 1996 as a young lecturer. at the University of Zimbabwe. And at that stage, when I did the paper, today when I look at it, I realize it was the most poorly written paper. I feel welcome to address the community of researchers from different universities which had been highlighted by Prof. here. And some of the universities we have collaboration and history and attachment with them. But I also want to be thankful to our chairman of IPADA, Professor Mokoko Sebola. He's the very light of this conference, and I really appreciate the work he is doing behind the scenes, also by calling us in the Limpopo legislature and other legislatures to be here. And when we came here, I looked at our numbers, and I thought I would get enough votes together with Gauteng legislature to be one of the council members, of the board members here. But I saw there is a big number from Walter Sisulu University and other universities, which would make my votes. Let me talk about the given topic, and I thought I should talk about it without trivializing it. I would attempt to elaborate on it by grounding it within the work of researchers and intellectuals that came before us. And I want to ground it within the two intellectuals, namely Harold Tulper's work on the liberation struggle and research on the power of ideas. And the second scholar is the Senegalese scholar, Abdoulaye Ndiaye. And he had published a very good book on African researchers and decision makers. This is the book published by Codesia, and I was lucky to buy it in Senegal, in Dakar. I would, in presenting this paper, also appeal to my intuitive experiences as a manager of research in different institutions by asking the question, what is the role of researchers in an institution? And in particular, in a politically charged institution such as the legislature, including where you come from, the premier's offices, and other departments of the executive. The legislative mandate within which researchers work is oversight, lawmaking, and public participation. The context is politically charged environment and demands researchers to keep a balancing act between the ruling and opposition party. All these parties represented in the House are competing for public and intellectual space, and thus appealing to their constituencies and potential voters. It is in this context of competing political interest that all researchers, irrespective of the institution, whether it's universities, foundations, NGOs, must remain objective and impartial. And that's what we expect from all researchers that support committees, that support everyone in the legislature. And that's also what we expect from all of you, because you are also guiding us in our work that we make reference to. Program Director, the everyday experiences or the everyday advices to the speakership. The speakership, I'm referring to the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Chair of Committees, including the Chief Whip, as guided by the rules and orders of the House, are guiding the work of parliamentary democracy. However, researchers, irrespective of their institution, cannot be popularly called parastatals. The legislature fulfills this mandate through its portfolio committees and standing committees. We have two sets of committees, portfolio committees that are related to departments, for example, education, portfolio committee on health, portfolio committee on social development, etc. And we have standing committees, such as Standing Committee on Public Finance, the one you know, which is SCOPA. But we also have the other committees called Public Participation. It's a standing committee, and the other last committee is a Committee on Quality of Life and Improving the Youth and Disabled. Now, the work of researchers in this context, which I've outlined, is to scrutinize the annual performance plans and annual reports to ensure that they are in line with government policies and they are in compliance with legislation and budget. Just as the new administration was coming in, I was campaigning or telling members, everybody, all the members in the House, that when they draft their speeches must be in line with the budget. Must not talk outside the budget and be theoretical and have dreams. Because researchers are able to elicit those nuances in the budget speech, whether the budget speech correlates with the budget. Now, because everybody on that day is wearing suits, like my colleague from Botswana, they just go and say, we will put Wi-Fi in the whole of South African schools. And when we go to the budget, there's no budget to put Wi-Fi in the South African schools. That's the message that we bring forth to the decision makers. Each portfolio committee in the House or in the legislature is allocated a researcher and a committee secretary. And some of the committee researchers are here today. Researchers are also provided to the root, and we also provide support and researchers to the opposition parties, as well as the minority political parties represented in the House. And sometimes I was wondering why we should allocate one member, one researcher, but that is constitutional. Any political party that gets even one seat, we have allocated them a researcher. Then researchers also play a role by being involved in the programming committee. Programming committee, we mean the agenda of the House. The agenda of the House, but we call it programming in our language. Researchers are also given the responsibilities to provide guidance in the allocated portfolio committees. They serve as a resource persons to guide and provide expert advice to decision makers on matters of policy design and development. Researchers enlighten committee and decision makers. Hence, they are all voted. They don't come through a CV. And they inform decision makers on what needs to be done by having to scrutinize all the reports that are tabled in the House. And I looked at the definition of what is to scrutinize the APPs and the annual reports. And a proper definition is to scrutinize is to look closely at those reports. And those reports include, and not limited to, they include Chapter 9 institutions, the Auditor General's reports, including Chapter 9 institution, the Public Service Commission reports. By scrutinizing reports, researchers should provide and give direction and guidance to the committee, which is part of our responsibility. This work, program director, comes with difficulties and at times dangers, as researchers have to lay bare the facts of accountability and oversight of the executive. Researchers study the AG's reports and draft questions for the recommendation and adoption of the portfolio committee and standing committees before they are sent to the executive departments. And these questions include: who is the responsible official for this transgression? What action has been taken against the HOD or the CFO or his senior management, particularly with regards to the misappropriation of funds on unauthorized and fruitless expenditure? And these are questions that we raise, including whether any disciplinary or corrective or remedial action has been taken. Researchers' work goes beyond simply scrutinizing departments' reports, but must also contribute to democracy. This plenary and the legislative sector may be aware that the Auditor General has resolved to focus on the work of committees. And in the last financial year, the AG focused on the Committee on Cooperative Governance and Human Settlement. So researchers are therefore fundamental contributors in determining the work of committees and follow up on those resolutions. It is common, of course, that lack of effective oversight by the legislative sector of South Africa is a major contributor to poor performance by government in the provision of services to the people. And various scholars, research institutes, and even the report of the State Capture Commission, the Zondo Commission, have attested to this point. Robust and effective oversight will directly translate to robust and effective governance performance in the provision of services to the people. As it is always stated, committees of the legislature are indeed the engine rooms of the legislative sector to effectively pursue the mandate of oversight, lawmaking, and public involvement. Let me state, when I talked about laying bare the facts and the dangers of being you as researchers, I'm bringing an example of one researcher, Advocate Ntutuzelo Vanara, who was assisting the Portfolio Committee on the ESCOM inquiry in Parliament. Researchers, including ourselves, or including myself, always raise the question on the Vendor Building Society, or the VBS. And we ask questions like whether there were municipal council resolution to put money in a mutual bank. These and many other questions and resolutions require you researchers to raise and monitoring. Unfortunately, like many other researchers that I have named here, such as Manthia Diawara, Kwame Anthony Apai, and many other scholars in South Africa, had to endure these problems of being sidelined and to a large extent also experienced challenges with regards to their careers, including career mobility. Now, we have seen many researchers in South Africa, in Africa, going through, also some of you that are going through, being sidelined because you've raised pertinent questions, because you have raised objective questions. I've said I want to appeal to these two authors, Harold Tulpe and the scholar from Senegal, Dakar's book. And I want to problematize and ground my response to the question that I raised: what is the role of a researcher? The Senegalese scholar provides a critical reflection on the relationships that exist between researchers and decision makers, and acknowledges the constraints that inhibit critical and positive collaboration between researchers and decision makers. Researchers and decision makers can make fine bedfellows in an ideal context, but the power relations and the discursive practice that exists between researchers and decision makers, between the legislatures and the executive, is a contested terrain. Ndiaye rightly argues that policymakers or our politicians or our leaders should have strong interest in research for the purpose of decision making. And naturally, decision makers should not rely on their intuition or common sense alone. They should make decisions that affect policy by relying on the scientific, empirical, and rational evidence. It is therefore on this note that we call on ourselves for a new paradigm shift to say, let's work with scientific and informed information. Harold Dulberg, secondly, work is influenced by the previous authors that came before him. Some of you may know him, used to work for the EPU at Wits University. Having influenced by Althusser and much more pronounced, his work pronounced by Michael Foucault and Chantal Mouffe, wanted to influence organizations that belong to. And the same applies to us, that we want to influence organizations that we belong to without being in the leadership. However, the fact that they fail to influence the organizations that they belong says something about them, and it also says something about ourselves as researchers because of our failure to influence our organizations, our portfolio committees. Hulbe argues that the role of intellectuals is to enable organizations to take strategic decisions, to take informed strategic decisions. And in quoting from him, I quote, "In any society at any time, ideas matter, use knowledge, and to influence organizations simply through their ideas, which are informed and data-related and empirical." As I provide you with courage at this conference of IPADA, Hulbe indicates that many great thinkers have influence usually, and I'm not sure why, but many great thinkers usually have influence after their death. And that's a question. Many people, many influential researchers, we always quote their work after their death. And whatever speeches that we get from you, from politicians, and the analysis that we get, all those ideas are shaped by researchers. And the researchers or papers that will be presented here in the next few days should continue to shape the work that we do through collaboration with universities and ourselves in government. It is unfortunate that arguments are not won by who has the best logic or evidence, but are by those with the largest constituency. If you have a constituency, you can win any idea. We don't need logic to win any decision. Academics rarely have a constituency, and in this case, including yourselves. But your pen is mightier than the sword. In many ways, researchers must demonstrate their ability to continue to analyze discourse and interpret discourse in a strict manner to show your craft. And that will make you stay over the years, just as I had stayed in the legislature for more than 12 to 15 years now. Every report that goes to any portfolio committee or to decision makers must be thoroughly substantiated and supported and be taken to its logical conclusion. This enhances committee discussions, this enhances resolutions of parliament, and this enhances democracy. Program Director I have enlisted the question or the 4 requirements of a good researcher. And allow me to go through them, if you give me some water, because I'm going to trigger some of the areas in you. Researchers should understand that research is science and are required to be objective at all times. That's one. Understand that research is science. It's not Makgoba's Kloof or Molechi where I come from. We talk the stories under a tree and we take them to members. Because we teach members that we don't talk about the informalities that we get from a public space and bring them to a formal discussion in a committee meeting. These discussions must be logically substantiated, and in particular through the work of the Auditor General. Secondly, researchers must write and produce knowledge independently and publish papers in peer-reviewed journals. That's why we respect researchers who publish. And there's a saying that if you don't publish, you perish. My appeal to you is researchers must continue to publish in peer-reviewed journals, and that is scientific work because it has gone through your peers. And thirdly, researchers must be ethical. I talked to a number of meetings on how ethical you should be. By not using the access to the leadership to influence your decision. And people who use that influence normally would use it subjectively for their own purposes. Researchers must remain professional and ethical and keep that distance between the leadership by informing them on the professional areas without being subjective. And be informed on policies, on government policies and contemporary issues around, firstly, statistics, around budgets, and around the economic developments in your own space of operation. These 4 areas which I've mentioned are the areas that sustain my work as a lecturer, as a research manager, and having worked in different research institutes like the Human Sciences Research Council. But I want to appeal to you as I move on the area of public participation, where it was important for me to come and address this area, this issue with you. Portfolio and standing committees are open to the public in terms of the standing rules, including the media, to observe the proceedings. We don't close up those public. These sittings portfolio committees are similar to ordinary sittings of the legislature. Now, the message is we are not witnessing you academics coming to the legislatures, to parliament, and to observe and to enhance the discussions in those spaces. Towards the end of the previous term, we have seen numerous laws or bills coming and being discussed and being enacted finally by the president. An appeal is made to all of you in this plenary and academic institutions of higher learning and scholars to attend and enhance discussions in public hearings and bills under consideration. This is one area for the academic sector to influence policy by jointly working with various committees of the legislature. Where in case you are an expert on education, you attend those meetings and enhance that discussion, because The standing rules and orders of the House allow the public, including the media, to be part. Once academia is closer to the lawmaking process through public participation, an in-depth understanding of the complexities of issues on the ground will be appreciated. Meaning you will start to appreciate what we are dealing with. I am personally worried when political analysts speak on all areas irrespective of their area of training and expertise, either on the public or on social media, including TV and radio. I'm personally worried that one expert or one lecturer or expert will talk, or analyst will talk on all the topics that are on TV. And my appeal is for you to talk on areas of expertise and for you to participate in those areas and make information. Because people who are not in those spaces will take advantage and make use of them. And that's why I normally would call the station or radio manager of it, or even TV, and say, that is not an expert on law. That is not an expert on education. He is not published on education. Why invite them to talk on those areas? And my appeal is, you people in this session, find yourself and your voice expression if you are an expert. I want to conclude, informed by my intuitive experiences, that also people in this plenary, researchers, including myself, based on my own experiences of having worked in many areas, that researchers should form part of the civil society. Because inherently you are members of the communities that you come from. Researchers should begin to involve themselves in the work of civil society because their non-participation has far-reaching implications for the development trajectory of their own areas. We have noted from the work by Bless and Hicks and Smith, the fundamentals of social research methods and African perspective, that authors argue that critical theories must go beyond illuminating the problems, but must also provide solutions. To give us the data is not enough, but the solutions. In this book, which I've quoted by Bless and Hicks and Smith from UNISA, when the child mortality rate in Zimbabwe was high, they critique that researchers must be part of finding a solution towards that mortality rate and provide transport to women who are struggling to go to the clinics in the rural areas. Researchers must participate in the social structures and provide rational voice in the communities they live. Since, program director, if they don't participate in those structures, there will be lack of empirical voice in those. And irrational voices will invariably mutate and take over the role of leadership and thereby mislead our communities. The EPU director at the time, John Pampali, says, yes, researchers might have had problems in engaging with their own intellectuals, but you must find ways to communicate your research results. It is important that in this plenary that as citizens of this country, get involved in the lawmaking process of the legislature through public participation. This will close the gap where the lawmaking process is informed by your scientific inputs and contempt emanate from the academic community. The Senegalese scholar, African researchers and decision makers, acknowledges that researchers like me and you and all of us here deliver papers at conferences, but their findings are poorly communicated to the public and decision makers. It is indeed true that researchers should increase the visibility of their research findings. But due to poor mastery of communication techniques, as NDI indicates, which is a major obstacle, communication should be improved. Researchers should address audiences in simple language and terms. The media plays a vital role in popularizing research results, and this collaboration is important. Program Director, let me conclude by quoting from the work of Harold Hulbe. Intellectuals often assume that their failure to influence events or organization is the fault of others. I repeat, intellectuals often assume that their failure to influence organization is the fault of others, not a sign of their own limitations. I therefore conclude by saying, let's find innovative ways to influence decision makers as researchers in Parliament for the development of South Africa. I thank you.
Can we honor him with a round of applause, please? I thank God I am here this day to appreciate. Right, the last item or the last announcement to be made has attachment and conditions to it. We're just about to break off for photo shoot, but it is only those people that have notes from the previous presentation that shall be allowed out of this venue. I got 3 pages of a loaded presentation. Distinguished delegates, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Sometimes you want to look yourself in the mirror and appreciate who you are, and that's exactly what the guest of honor has just said. Or a photo shoot just outside the front part of this hotel, and those that have anything color red, anything, other bottle cap that is red, please make sure that you gather whatever that belongs to you. We are going straight for the photo shoot, after which then we shall be hugging and kissing each other and thanking God for our presence here. So with that, I thank you very much for your indulgence. This is the time for us to go for the photo shoot. Like I said, just the front side of the hotel, that's where we are gathering. And if we can make it snappy because time is of essence. Other than that, my name is Theophilus Sukuri. It was a pleasure seeing you, beautiful and so engaged this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning. Well, your program is quite spot on. Immediately after tea, we are breaking off to different sessions. I guess I'm in number 5. And wonderful. Enjoy your day. Thank you.